So, this is a lock that I've picked a couple times, and it's got some pretty interesting internals. Let's see if I can get it on video and maybe show you how the insides work and a little bit about the lock. It's a Hong Dun lock called the rotation angle. That's about all the English that's on the packaging. And I got it from Urban Hawk, who is one of the users in the LPU group. So I'll kind of zoom in here and show you what the key looks like. So you can see that it's a dimple lock, and it has these strange angled cuts for the dimples. And I'll go ahead and tell you that the pins don't rotate during the operation of the lock. The locksmith rotates them in order to set them for better key control. And you can see it's got sliders as well. And it's got a pretty interesting bow on it. So just based on the key alone, you would expect this to be a pretty difficult lock, but it doesn't have the best tolerances in the world, and so it doesn't end up being quite as difficult as one would think. So we're going to see if we can get it open. In my past experience with it, the sliders isolate pretty well from the dimples. At least it seems that way. However, you can kind of see from the way that I'm picking it that it's also possible that I might be setting some of the sliders while picking the dimples. So anyway, we're going to get this really big false set, and that actually looks like we're finished with the dimples. I'm just going to go ahead and double check a couple more pins, make sure that we've left no stone unturned, and maybe see if we can move on to these sliders. So they move from left to right in this direction on the bottom of the keyway, and they are located right down here in this slot. So, alright, so this one's binding. And maybe not getting a lot out of him. So after feeling those, I think I may have overset a top pin. So I let off tension. And went back to start over with these sliders. And again, not much is feeling very good, so I'm going to let off a little bit more tension. Alright, so I've actually now completely let off tension. My finger's not even on the tension wrench. And maybe this will help us address some of the pins that may have been overset. I think I got a little bit more counter rotation on that plug there after moving that slider over. Go back through and feel these one more time. And there we go. So hopefully you can see that this lock is picked. And now we will gut it. So I don't have one of these fancy camera setups that I've seen some of the other people on YouTube use, so I'm going to have to switch lenses here, and hopefully you'll just be able to see that I haven't moved this lock and switched locks on you. So here we are again. After switching lenses, we've got a little bit of a wider view, so we're going to be able to see this ungutting process. Kind of backs up a little bit. The problem is that my lenses are fixed. I don't have any zoom lenses, so you get what you get out of these lenses. Just kind of keep us in frame here. We'll take this lock and put it right here. Get our picks out of the way. And Now, some of you may recognize this pinning tray. It's a pretty cool pinning tray that's been developed by ID Fastcomputer, another user. Maybe get ourselves a upward angle here, and hopefully this will work. So, I have already mauled the C-clip on the back of this lock. Oh, no, I took the C-clip off. Alright. So, it's a good thing we didn't drop all those pins. So I am going to shim this, just in case. And I'm going to be very careful when I take it apart, because as a lot of these Chinese locks are, this one is construction keyed. So I don't want to drop the tiny ball bearing out of the top. So, as you can see, and let me actually check and make sure the focus is good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Alright. So I want to increase our aperture a little bit, and I'll bring this up top so you can see what we're looking at. So down there in chamber number 6, you can see that ball bearing. And that ball bearing is used for construction keying, and I'll show you on the keys how that works. And yeah, you can see the first weird feature about these, which is these weird cuts. So once we get these key pins out, you'll be able to see what's happening with those weird cuts. So I like gutting my locks from left to right. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's where we'll put this little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put him there, and my tweezers, it seems, are a little magnetic. Let's get this other spring right here. This slider spring, get it out. Oof. Maybe I can demagnetize my tweezers really quickly. Sorry about this, guys. So that did not work at all. I think I just made them more magnetic. Well, teach me to trust a demagnetizer, but we'll go ahead and use these other tweezers. So here is our sidebar with its 2 springs. We've got this back one here, which go ahead and drop out the rest of these, and you may already be able to see the fins on these pins. So as I'm taking this out, these fins that you're seeing, they interface with those slots that were on the top of the key. Well, not the key, on the top of the plug. And you can kind of see if you look down inside the plug how each angle of those slots lines up. So there's an angled cut. So what's happening here maybe we can go ahead and afford to switch lenses again. Yeah, Yeah, that's nice. So what's happening here is that these pins have angled cuts on the bottom, and they have a little fin. And what that fin does is it slots so that this angled cut will line up correctly on the key. Decrease our brightness a little bit so you can see these angled cuts. So you can imagine now, this is from the 4th pin stack, so looking down here in this pin stack, it needs to be placed like this. But if we place it at a different angle, and hopefully it's visible here that that pin is sticking out. So not only does it have to be the right height, but it also has to be the right angle. So we'll put this back in at the correct angle. And now it sits perfectly. So that's what's going on with these rotation angle cuts. So you can imagine that a locksmith would be able to have some more key bittings, I suppose, by using this technique. So let's go ahead and drop these sliders out. And I'll kind of do this a little delicately. And I guess maybe I should have shown you here first before I take them all out. So you can see, oops, here we go. And let's kind of get this in frame and all that good stuff, alright. So you can see here that we have, sorry for the wobbly nature of my filming, that we have these slots, these grooves cut in, and these sliders need to move. I'm not having a lot of luck here. What's going on? There we go. Sorry about that. So these sliders need to move to the right height, and you can kind of see them moving up and down. And now all the slots are aligned, so the sidebar will be able to fit in. Now you can see them coming in and out. We've got the springs on the bottom. Well, that's how that sidebar works. And I'm not sure if you can see these springs, I'm not looking at the camera right now, but the 2 sidebar springs, I did not do anything weird or rough to them, but they were tremendously mauled by the time I try to put them in, and I almost have to wonder if the original, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. They're basically ruined, and it could just be because of how incredibly soft they are. But I don't want to spend too much time organizing this stuff. I think I'm going to need to put in some more. I'm going to need to put in the driver pins, and you'll see these driver pins are very poorly made. So I will kind of pull these out one by one. I'm just going to leave those springs in the core because honestly it's kind of annoying to take those springs in and out. You can kind of see that these are just not... Let's go ahead and take the camera off the tripod here for a second. Zoom in and give you a look at these pins. So you can see, look at those sharp angles. It's just very odd. I'm not sure if that's intentional or if that's just poor manufacturing tolerances or what's going on. And you see this last pin is not got an angle cut to it. You see all these little fins. You see all of the sidebars, the sidebar finger pins. Give you a nice look at these, and this has not been modified by me, so this filing that has happened is how this came to me from the box. So clearly these pin heights were not quite correct, and someone filed this to make them fit. So kind of an interesting amount of handwork that I wouldn't expect out of a lock usually. Just to kind of give us one last interesting, sorry. So this is the box of keys, and I'm too lazy to switch lenses for you, but the keys came in this big box, and I'm going to kind of bring the camera over here maybe, and open up these keys and show you the difference between the construction keying and the regular key. This key that we started with, the first key, the one that's actually out of the package right now, man, this package is no joke to open. There we go. So I have dumped this package, unfortunately. I'm sure you can hear all of that. But to me it looks like that all these keys are the same, and one of them is a different color. I don't know why, but we have and you know what, I will go ahead and switch lenses because I don't think you guys can see anything that I'm doing. So here are all the keys that came in that box. And we've got this one key here that's a different color, and it has a C on it, but honestly the biddings look exactly the same. So I'm going to go ahead and bring these up to the camera and let you see the difference. That last cut, cut number 6, this key here on the left is the original key that would have been used by the person building the house. And you can see that it's a much lower cut, and it gives room for that ball bearing that we saw inside the lock. And when the homeowner comes and they use this key here on the right, it's a much higher cut, and that higher cut will push that ball bearing out of the plug. And what I believe will happen, so you can imagine that we're at this, in this last pin stack right here. It'll push it out, and when you turn it, it should fall down into this groove, would be my expectation, and it would just fall out of the front of the lock. I'm not completely sure if that's how that works, but that's the only thing that I can figure out based on how this is all designed. Or maybe I guess you'd push it into the back of the lock, I suppose, with your key the next time you used it. But either way, the idea is that that little ball bearing will fall out of the plug, and you will no longer be able to use this original key. So when I reassemble this, I am actually going to continue to use the construction key, and I'll go ahead and give us one last nice view of all these components in this key before ending the video. So a big thanks to Urban Hawk for sending this lock, and hopefully this video, even though it looks like it's almost 20 minutes, can clear up a little bit of confusion of what exactly rotation angle means and how this interesting lock works.